Now we will play an attention game with you. My request from you is that you focus on my right hand, and when I count down from 3, follow the numbers I will show with my hand without stopping the video and keep them in your mind respectively. I will do it quickly, so pay attention and let's see how sharp your memory and attention are. If you can keep less than 4 numbers in your mind, the problem is accordingly. If you are ready, I'm starting. Yet, how many of the numbers I showed you did you remember? 3, 4, or all of them? I'm sure most of you did, but that is not the question. The question is this: how many of you noticed the bear that quietly walked past the edge of the screen while showing these figures? Probably very few of you, maybe even none of you noticed. But it's not because you were inattentive, it's because I manipulated you. Yes, I deliberately narrowed your attention and directed your perception to a single point, thus preventing you from even noticing a big, obvious event that was passing right in front of you. You didn't win, I won, or rather, I took the power as the one who manipulated your attention. Don't think, what's going on? He's gone to the dark side. It was just a small, harmless game. But now I ask you, if I can do this with a small video, what can the real power brokers on the world stage do? How can they shape the perceptions of humanity and hide the big truths? This is what we are going to delve into today. Today we are going to look at proven but hidden events in history that have actually happened, that have been proven but hidden, that have revealed the dirty tricks, the great conspiracies, and the real faces of those who rule the world. So pay attention, because what you're going to see and what you're going to hear can change your perspective. And I hope it will, because I think the more people become aware of things, the sooner those things will change. Welcome to Find the Truth. I told you at the end of my chemtrails video last week that the real danger is not in the skies, but in the water you drink and the food you eat. And I didn't say that just for the sake of saying it. The first glass of water you drink every morning when you wake up, the packaged products you consume for breakfast, or the snacks you eat quickly. Have you ever paid attention to what is in them? What if I told you that the substances you consume silently transform your body and mind? More importantly, they change the way you think, your emotional balance, and even your perceptions without you even realizing it. If you think it's just a chocolate cake, what's the big deal? I would say think again. Throughout history, humanity has lived on natural nutrition and clean resources, so we can say that it has lived organically. But the Industrial Revolution and the age of consumerism that followed changed everything. Foods that come directly from the field to our table have been replaced by packaged products with unknown ingredients and dozens of additives. And the effects of these substances on our bodies are not limited to our physical health. They have darker, quieter, and more devastating consequences. Let's dig a little deeper together. One of the main reasons for this was the plan to create a new American society after the Second World War. Immediately after the war, in order to balance the declining male population, the American government and the media under its control started to direct women with propaganda and technologies to get married, to stay in their homes and to have as many children as they could. And as a result, birth rates really exploded. I'm talking about the population boom periods when people bought huge detached houses for almost nothing. By the way, the banks that lend those houses, the companies that produce those technologies are of course the companies of giant families such as the Rockefellers, J. Morgan, Carnegie. I'm sure you have guessed this. After the population was secured in this period, as I said, from the 70s onwards, the concept of packaged foods and fast food began to be dictated to the American people who had previously grown up with healthy home cooking and quality food, and of course to the whole world in a few years. All the movies and TV series emphasize ready meals prepared in the microwave in 5 minutes. Instead of waiting 30 minutes for a meal, fast foods that you can buy cheaply in 5 minutes are introduced and the real project begins. Now you may be thinking that the population reduction has started, But this is a very wrong idea. On the contrary, the only problem of the men at that time was to increase the population as much as possible. So I told you in the chemtrails video that this has nothing to do with population reduction. Look, the evil intelligence in front of you is not stupid. The men have factories producing every product. Why would they want to reduce the population? It means losing customers. Now the titans who produce these ready-to-eat foods start adding preservatives and other chemicals that they produce in their own chemistry laboratories to foods, such as bisphenol A, such as nitrates and nitrites added to processed red meat, such as monosodium glutamate, such as aspartame, which are artificial sweeteners, such as colorants, such as titanium dioxide. As you just ate a chocolate cake, almost all of the above list is now in your body. And what did these cause in the long term? Chronic headaches, heartburn, insomnia due to hormonal imbalance, and most importantly, cancer. If you look carefully, you will see that after the 70s, compared to the previous 20 years, the rate of common cancers in the United States increased by 60%, and the rate of rare cancers affecting the young population increased by up to 300%. Not to mention other headaches, sleep problems, allergic reactions, etc. Their rates have increased to space. So what happened now? Knowing that these chemicals will make you sick, the companies that produce these chemicals immediately started to establish pharmaceutical companies and started to sell you their medicines for the aforementioned diseases. And this time you could not go to bed without taking reflux medication. You could not stop taking vitamin supplements, and you could not overcome your allergies without applying 100 products to your skin. Of course, your immune system is weakened by chemicals, not to mention the fact that you are constantly getting strange diseases and so on. So is it over? Of course not. Now you will see how to kill two birds with one stone. The chemicals in the plastic in the water bottle you drink, the chemicals in the food you eat, as I just said, first attack your hormonal system. And what does this cause in the long run? Very bad things. The hormonal system is a system that affects everything, such as your sleep patterns, your nervous system, the functioning of your brain, and your happiness. When this system is disrupted, you turn into a person who cannot enjoy life, who cannot be satisfied, who struggles with anxieties, who even falls into a void in terms of gender. And again, the famous giant families that poison you come to your rescue. By the way, every time I use the word families, I don't necessarily mean Rockefeller, JP Morgan, or Rothschilds. The times have changed. Now these families set up a huge umbrella company, and then that big umbrella investment fund, for example, BlackRock, goes and becomes a shareholder in all these companies. So there is no longer a single family behind a single company. They all turn this big wheel jointly. They have secured themselves in a great way, so you can't even reach them directly. In 2023, 65.5 million boxes of antidepressants were sold in Turkey. 1 out of every 10 people in Europe uses antidepressants. What a world, isn't it? They both poison you and take the last money in your pocket under the pretense of healing you. Okay, if you say, no more packaged food, no more plastic bottles, at least let me cook at home as much as I can, here are the commercials for you at home. Do you still want to cook at home despite all the wonderful fast food? Then I would like to introduce you to a new and miraculous product that we produce in chemical laboratories. The Teflon pan is such a wonderful invention that every meal you make will flow out of the pan and come to your plate. And with every bite, you will pray to us for producing and selling Teflon to you. Of course, DuPont, one of the largest chemical companies in the world, started making advertisements like this mini introduction to you in the 1950s on a scale thousands of times larger. Teflon is indeed a chemical achievement, but it didn't originate in your kitchen. It was a substance developed by chance in the Second World War to cover tanks and cannons and protect them from rain and mud. But when the war was over and DuPont was left with tons of Teflon, it said, why don't we bring it into the kitchen and introduce the Teflon pan into our lives? But there is something else it introduced into our lives. Perfluorooctanoic acid, one of the main chemicals used in Teflon production. The fact that this deadly substance has a direct effect on your food from your pan is the fact that it is a hormone disruptor and a poison that directly attacks your immune system. How do we know all this? We know it by pure coincidence, just like the discovery of Teflon. In 1998, after Teflon had entered the homes of hundreds of millions of families around the world, a family's animals in Parkersburg, West Virginia, began dying after drinking from a natural stream, and the family's lawyer sued the DuPont company that dumped its waste into the water in the area and launched an investigation. Very soon after the production of Teflon, DuPont researchers reported that PFOA had caused liver and organ enlargement in animals, causing them to die catastrophically, and that it was an extremely harmful substance for humans and triggered cancer. But correspondence and documents for the company showed that it had been ordered to cover up this fact. 7 years after the case, the U.S. decides that DuPont is guilty, and what do you think it does? It only gives a fine of $10 million. Yes, the price of knowingly poisoning the whole world is only $10 million, and only in 2015, exactly 10 years after this court decision, it was banned to put PFOA chemical in Teflon. So everyone who watched this video, we all grew up with those Teflons. Explosions in thyroid disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure during pregnancy, kidney and testicular cancer. One of the biggest triggers is that chemical that enters your body with the Teflon I just mentioned. Teflon with PFOA is now banned on paper. But I think you still don't buy Teflon from brands you don't know, or even if possible, don't buy it at all. What if you say that they have produced this chemical for almost 75 years and discharged it into natural waters? What will happen to it? I just said, get well soon. In the chemtrails video, did you understand why I said look at your plate in glass, not the air? I can tell you hundreds of incidents with this food sector, and you will seriously become unable to step into the market again. It is a sector where dark things are going on beyond our comprehension. Of course, it would be unfair to say this for all brands, but unfortunately, the number of dark links in this chain is very high when you say who is the supplier of the brands and who is their supplier. So consume not the food that comes in front of you, but the brands that are quality, inspected, and comply with the right conditions. According to the conspiracy I'm going to tell you now, look, I didn't say conspiracy theory. I didn't say conspiracy theory. Everything I'm going to tell you today are really conspiracies that we are living right now. And most of us are not aware of it because we are living in a world where men are manipulating our perception as I did to you at the beginning of the video. Never forget that no matter what the plan is, whether it is to make you sick, whether it is to raise an obedient generation, whether it is to chip you one day, it does not matter. They will never do this to you for free. But even if the goal is to destroy millions one day, be sure that they will not destroy you without selling our shroud. You know, it is said that there are chips in vaccines, etc., who is sure that they will market those chips to you in such a way that you will line up in front of those stores saying, "Chip me, oh Apple." That is why you really need to do deep research to see the real conspiracies so that you can find them. They are never done in such a way that everyone in front of your eyes can see them. And when they are done, you know that 90% of them are structured so that you are distracted and do not pay attention to the real one. Please remember this. Here is the clearest example of this in the conspiracy I'm going to tell you now, because I am going to talk about an intangible conspiracy that is impossible for you to see. And this is such a conspiracy that it is a conspiracy that throws your free will aside and makes every decision you make in life as if it were your decision and throws you into bottomless wells. And its name is the metadata conspiracy. I made up the name now, but it was an appropriate name. Maybe it will hold. How sure are you that the ideas that pop into your mind as you go about your daily life are your own? Do you really make your own decisions? Or do you behave like puppets premeditated by hidden hands, controlled by invisible strings? Could it be that you are dictated what to think, what to like, what to want? For example, all of a sudden we say this song is very popular, we say this dress is very fashionable, we say this behavior is very cool, but where does this come from and why is it cool? Who is the first to say that this dress is fashionable and we queue up in stores to buy it? Where is the head of this snake? I would like to welcome you to the rabbit hole once again because this time the tunnel will be very, very deep like Alice's Fall. Propaganda is nothing new. In fact, it is a concept as old as history itself, and All institutions or people in power, from empires to religious institutions, use it in one way or another. Vivid colors, interesting symbols, magnificent structures, and so on. But today, when modern science is involved, the dimension of events has changed a little more and evolved into something called subliminal manipulation. In 1957, a secret social experiment was conducted by James Vickery without the public's knowledge. And while the moviegoers were watching the movie with great attention, the text, "Drink Coca-Cola, eat popcorn," appeared on the screen in only 3 thousandths of a second, that is, in a moment too short for you to notice. And after this subliminal message, it was observed that the viewers bought drinks and popcorn at much higher rates when the movie was interrupted. With the discovery of the internet and the introduction of everyday technologies into our lives, this technique of conveying subliminal messages has come of age and brought us the concept called metadata. Every search you make on the internet, all your shopping, everything you do on the phone, whether you allow it or not, is actually monitored and recorded by the companies that provide you with these services, and a profile of you is created. The more you use these technologies, the more data these people have, and over time, they get to know you even better than you do. Thanks to these algorithms, when you enter YouTube, you will come across channels like me or me. Thanks to this algorithm, online catering companies know when to recommend you kebabs and when to recommend pizza. And this has become so sensitive that even cosmetic product or pad advertisements, according to women's menstrual cycles, appear for this reason. Not only that, when you talk about vacation or money among your friends, you have seen that the next day you receive messages or emails on your phone that your special loan is ready or postpone your vacation plans. These are what you get because your phone is constantly listening to you. For example, which books do you read? Which party do you vote for? How do you react to social events on social media? Do you have problems with your child? What does your child think about you? A power that knows all this has the power to direct you emotionally and subconsciously and directs you to the target it wants in 3 steps. 1. Filter bubble. Algorithms trap you in your own bubble as you learn your tastes. You constantly see similar content and start to be deprived of different opinions or alternative information. This weakens your ability to think critically and makes you vulnerable to manipulation. Since you will be constantly limited to a similar environment, your social circle will shrink and you will become a victim of the divide and rule tactic by starting to meet and talk only with like-minded people like a gang. 2. Loss of reality. Social media streams are a unique ground for the rapid spread of fake news and disinformation. For example, 60% of today's X platform, the Twitter of the past, consists of bot accounts and spam messages created by them. And according to some sources, this rate is even higher. Because of the fake reality created by the troll group, people like and share without reading. Even unproven information can be treated as fact. To give a simple example, there are events such as shoot the bitch or shoot the infidel. Someone stirs up the crowd and most people attack and destroy without listening to the other side just because of herd psychology. This is a technique used in social media, especially in X. And once again, since the algorithm knows your bandwire well, it can even trigger a social uprising by constantly showing you the news content that you will react to such news that you will react to. If you want to research how the Arab Spring was triggered years ago, the people were saying, "We are going to freedom," but then see for yourself how the CIA said, "I am here" behind those tweets. 3. Emotional hunger. Algorithms are more likely to put content in front of you that feeds strong emotions such as anger, fear, or excitement, because emotional content means interaction. And for platforms, interaction means money and power. Especially in Turkey, people love drama, so you constantly see news that he died in the news. This one cut this one, that one is ruined, that one is over. And they put you in depression as if there is not a single person doing a good job in the country. Yes, Turkey is going through difficult conditions, and there are many things that I criticize. This is a fact. But don't forget that not all life consists of dark drama, and good things happen thanks to good people, both in our country and in the world. But unfortunately, they cannot be news. Bring to mind the titans who have everything. With these emotional manipulations, these men push you into believing that you live in a world where there is no way out. And while they are filling their pockets by selling gambling, alcohol, drugs, all kinds of products or services that will falsely escape you from this reality, your life will fade away. Do not fall into this trap. Life is worth living, and it is not as dark as you think. When metadata uses this invisible digital trace of yours and uses it as a weapon against you, if you don't understand this, get past it. They manipulate you like a puppet. They don't show you the people and channels that give you real information. They show you ridiculous conspiracy channels that constantly produce fake and false information. They show false and biased political channels, news channels, or even in religion. They don't show experts who speak sane, but on the contrary, they show crazy fake religion merchants, and if you disconnect from reality. Let me give another example from the chemtrail I did last time. There were dozens of people who wrote that Russia left the Open Skies Treaty for this reason. The climate law opened the way to poison us all, etc., without even knowing the content. All of this is misinformation. Not a single word of it is true. Russia left the open skies for military reasons. There are no articles to poison you in the climate agreement. These are not secrets. The articles of this agreement are written one by one on the internet. It is written why Russia left the open skies. All you have to do is ask search engines or artificial intelligence. But instead of that, you believe the spam montages you see on X and you allow a platform that is itself a conspiracy to deceive you. This is how you steal the wallet in your pocket while looking at the juggler here. Metadata is not only used in an individual sense, as I said before. Who creates and puts forward these fashionable things first? People like you and me don't. These bots do. Companies spend millions of dollars on these spam bots as social media campaigns, and they direct you to the trends with fake characters or purchase characters on the right and left, with content such as "this dress is legendary," "this dress is legendary." I don't know who doesn't buy this product, and you buy the 10th perfume, the 20th shoe, and that dress that you don't have any style without any need, and you don't even wear it in your closet. Not only that, women and men who have no health problems or obvious defects are going under the knife just to look like popular types. A whole generation with a fabricated type has been formed in this way. Because everyone in the world except you is shown as if everyone in the world has achieved success and is swimming in money. Young people have started to be crushed under unnecessary social pressures. Do not come to this game. Look, you are really important to me. This channel has been growing thanks to you for years. And if you are doing these things without realizing it, and after the examples I just gave you, if you say, "Oh, really," please know that you are trapped and get yourself out of this bind. Otherwise, your digital identity will one day have the power to erase even your real identity, and you will become a puppet of your shadow. I could add so many more things to this video. There are hundreds of dark conspiracies from the powers that run the education system, to the powers that run the media, to the powers that run the media, to the powers that run the politicians, to the powers that run the technology. And I will present them to you from time to time, but I really don't want to present them too much because these are the realities that make you grieve and make you feel helpless. So I am designing the channel not as a complete conspiracy channel, but rather to push you to research, to push you to question everything, and to push you to do your own research, and to push you on this path so that you can research and find them. I am also designing it so that you can find the essence of faith, so that you can understand it, so that you can strengthen your stance with your own faith without being crushed under this pressure. Look, this is not only for Islam, Buddhism, this and that, but faith is a roof, religions, and so on are all sub-branches of this roof concept. A person can believe in love. He can believe in the beautiful future of humanity. These give the person the strength to stand upright in difficult conditions, to fight and live a beautiful life. And this is how the world changes. So stand firm against everything that tries to turn you into an empty individual who will fly wherever the wind blows. Whether it is politics, whether it is companies, whether it is corrupt science, whether it is corrupt religion, whether it is this or that, I have shared examples of these with you throughout the ages. Be you, search for the truth behind everything, not what is presented to you, but what is hidden behind. And on this path, use science, philosophy, religions, art, your imagination, everything, and build that roof of faith to withstand all the storms. Then nothing can destroy you, and how beautiful the world is. You realize what a nice detail people's differences are, and what a precious gift life is, and you start to live every day to the fullest. And I personally believe that there are people on my channel who understand this message correctly and that I can touch their lives a little bit. And I believe that if you do not give up this search, one day you will find the truth you are looking for. Thank you all for watching the video. To accompany me on my journey, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and share them with your circle. Take care until next week.